Hey everyone, welcome once again to Fitz in Law School. I'm Fitz, and here we have another episode. Yes! Okay, so today, well, let's start with last week. Last week we talked about your school selection. Congratulations, you are once again in law school. And now you have, let's see, I don't know, a month, a couple of weeks, you have 2 months, you have whatever, but you have some time to prep before law school. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, we're going to talk about the time in between. What should you be doing to prepare your life, prepare for the work, and to, ways to relax and ways to do it. But mostly it's to prepare. Okay, this is going to be a big transition for you. And so obviously you want to prepare. You want to make sure that you're doing the right things to adjust your mind and adjust your study habits and all that stuff for the onslaught that is law school. Okay, so number one is a couple of life prep things. The most obvious and clear thing is your living. As in how, where are you going to live? If you are going to a new city, you probably want to figure out your apartment. You want to figure out if you're staying at home, you want to, you just want to figure out what your living situation is. Okay. Figure out where the nearest grocery store is. Figure out all the good restaurants that are near you. Just figure out these basic building block things of life that you're obviously going to want to know. So easy. Number two, you want to be able, make sure to get all your books taken care of. You want to open up an Excel spreadsheet and you want to start figuring out your budget. You want to go through each semester or each week or even each day and say, okay, this is my limit. Most people aren't trust fund babies. So you're going to be getting loans and you're going to be essentially going by the skin of your teeth. And so you really, really want to make sure that you figure out exactly what your budget is. That's very, very important. And I'm sure your parents and all that stuff will also, and your future self will also thank you for that. Number three, and another thing, is that this is something that I really, really enjoy, is I love walking a campus. I love, getting my schedule, seeing where all my classes are, and then going and walking around the campus, getting a feel for the place, understanding, okay, you know what, during fall with all these trees, this is going to be fantastic. Or, wow, this is a really nice bridge. This is a really nice courtyard. I can't wait to sit here in the sun and read my book. I mean, again, this is going to be the next 3 years of your life. And so you're going to want to adjust your life and you're going to want to make sure that this will be the absolute best experience of your life. And so why not know what the school's like and know all the little nooks and crannies? So many schools have so many hidden things. And yes, in the orientation, sometimes they do a tour, but sometimes it's not a very good tour. Or there's just another satisfying thing about exploring on your own. So I think that's a great idea. You're going to want to study the weather of where your school is. You're going to want to make sure that the clothes that you have fit the weather. If you have 1,000 parkas and you're going down to South Carolina, that might not be the best kind of clothing for that. So, just Google the weather throughout the year and see what it's going to be like. Find some coffee shops. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, there are a couple things. First thing is that I like a routine. Okay, routines are comforting. There are things that are taken out of your life when you have a routine. You no longer have to worry about what you're going to do that day, because a lot of times it's planned out. You're going to go to class and then you're going to study and then you're going to go to bed. I mean, that's just how it works. And in a way, that's a comforting thing. That's why I like having a job. That's why I like going to school, because it's comforting. There's something, that structure is it's really nice. And so something that kind of goes hand in hand with that is that, are you going to go to the law cafe at your school? Or are you going to stop at a fantastic coffee shop? If you live in California, are you going to be a good person and go to Phil's Coffee, which is so damn good? It's up to you. However, you also might study there. I mean, my girlfriend can go and study in coffee shops and stuff. I can't. All right. I like libraries and I like here. But if you can tune that stuff out, then more power to you. And coffee shops, when you find a good coffee shop, it's fantastic. that have little nooks or have, really comfortable positions that you can read a book in and stuff, or just places to go and unwind. That's really nice. Or places going on a date. I mean, there's tons and tons of great things about a coffee shop, and I would rather know where they are and then be able to say, oh yeah, I know a great coffee shop. Let's go. It's people like the person who knows the places. So why not? I also think, another thing that's fairly comforting is learn the library hours. There are lots of law schools that have their libraries open, like the law library specifically, open 24 hours a day. Some libraries don't. Some libraries, stop at 11 on the weekdays and 10 o'clock on the weekends. That's just what they do, or that's just what some schools do and what some schools don't. So you just want to make sure what yours is. It's comforting to know, and you'd rather do it now than when you're actually in school. These are some things that you don't want to worry about and don't want to deal with when you have more important things to deal with, like studying and like school. So just make sure to get all that stuff out of the way. That's your life prep stuff. Those are things that your day-to-day that you're really going to want to take care of before you get into law school. Now comes the work prep. Okay, so these are some of the things that essentially is all about molding your habits to what your life is going to be like when you're in law school. Okay, plenty of prep books. There are tons and tons and tons of prep books out there for essentially what to expect when going into law school. There's a really famous and widespread book. It's called How to Succeed in Law School. It's by J.D. Sangal, I think so. But it's just called How to Succeed in Law School. And essentially what it, I read it. What it is it says, I don't know, it just says do all the readings and participate in class and do all the extracurricular activities when it comes to studying, and then you'll do fine. And then do prep books or do prep tests. They're essentially all going to tell you the same thing. But they're going to tell you also just this is not undergrad. That's really what they're going to focus on. That this is not a learn the concept and go into class. This is a learn the concept and then find it on the page, exactly where they say it on the page, and then go to class. Read the entire case, commit it to memory, and then go to class, okay? This is a big deal. This is a big commitment. It's a lot of work, and you can do it. So just... again, it's a take it or leave it kind of thing. You can find these used in bookstores all over the place. I think on Amazon they're also like $10, so it's always a good thing, and it's more information, so why not? Okay, the next thing is you're going to be doing a lot of reading, okay? And when you're in law school and you're doing a lot of reading, you're going to want to make sure that your brain is properly calibrated to that kind of reading. So that means that if you get out of undergrad and you're out for, like a semester or something, or you get out of undergrad and you start working and you're in a job that doesn't require that kind of academic active reading, then your brain is going to be kind of, it's one of those use it or lose it kind of things. It just kind of fades away. And so what you want to do is you want to start prepping your brain. I mean, I have lots and lots of books that are essentially that. It's mostly history books. And I really like history. And so, there's also silly things like this, that are nice and thick and ridiculous. The New York Times Guide to Essential Knowledge. It's like an encyclopedia. But the point is that it's dry, it's dense with information and dense with just kind of concepts that you go and you want to extract. But that's the kind of reading that you're going to be doing in law school. So it's a good idea to start prepping your brain for those kinds of tasks, because that's what you're going to be doing. So again, it's just prepping so that you don't have to do it when you're in law school. Again, this is prep work. This is not in law school work. This is prep work. You're going to want to start a regular sleep schedule, okay? A regular sleep schedule is very nice because, again, you don't want the adjustment period when you start school. So that means that if you're staying up till, 1 or 2 every morning and then getting up at noon, that's probably not what your schedule is going to be like when you're in law school. So you're going to want to start to just get a rigorous sleep schedule and stick to it. And since these a sleep schedule is a little bit different than a habit forming kind of a thing. So, the week before or 2 weeks before, that's really when you want to start doing it. Okay, so you want to start going to bed by 10 or 11 and getting up at 7. I think that's a really, really good thing. If you, have class at 8 or 9 and you, for the first time in a month, you get up at 6 or 7, you're going to be dead. And you really don't want to do that, especially when you're starting in law school. You want to make sure that you're used to it. You also want to, and so these next two things are things that are, I think, good to start before you get into law school, but they're going to change. And that is a basic study schedule, and then figuring out how you're going to study, okay? So on a study schedule, it's exactly the same thing as a sleep schedule. You want to start blocking off time in your calendar that's dedicated to studying. I've heard this from so many lawyers and so many 3Ls and 2Ls saying, treat it like a job. Treat it like, okay, from, my class gets over at 3, so that means from, 4 o'clock until 9 o'clock, I'm studying. I'm doing nothing else. That's my job. And the other thing, treating it like a job, is I don't have a choice. That's the attitude that you want going into studying, is that I don't have a choice, that it's something that I have to do. And if you start kind of blocking that time off early in your head and on your calendar and essentially saying, okay, I have this thick book that I want to read, then I'm going to dedicate, these 2 hours per day and stick with it to study. I think that's a really, really great prep work kind of a thing. And then the second part of that, figuring out how you're going to study. So studying is difficult because of a couple things. The first thing is that so my best friend in the world, she goes to Duke Law School, and in her first semester and second semester of her first year, she was really hit by the fact that Duke Law School is it's T14 school. It's one of the best schools in the country, and she got hit hard by saying, "Oh my God, I don't know how to study." She did extremely well in undergrad, and she did really well in her LSAT. And she said, I don't know how to study normally because I never had to. And I've heard that from so many other people, that they've said, I did great in undergrad and I never really had to study, so now I'm going to do great in law school. No, it's not how it works. It's just not. I kind of have experienced a little bit about this myself, that you just need to really put your head down, start studying, and then kind of learn how to study in the moment. In this way, I think that it's better to have a plan and then change that plan rather than not have a plan at all and then start forming the plan when you need it. Okay. So by that, I mean, what do you want to do? Do you want to use flashcards? Do you want to color code your papers? Do you want to write your notes? Do you want to type your notes? Do you want to do all these things? For my study schedule, or my study method, essentially, is I do the readings and then I type out those things on the readings. I have a very, very exact template when it comes to outlining cases, and then I use that template for every single case that I outline. And then I print out the case outline that I do. So essentially, I take all the notes for the reading when they're just talking about the concept, and then when a case comes along, I outline the case in the exact same way, and it's one case per page. And then I always hold the first page of my notes to be like the general kind of filler paragraphs that they have, or filler ideas that they have. Okay, here's where we're going to talk about product liability. And then from here, here's the case that kind of talks about product liability. And so then from there, I print out those notes, I take them into class, and then I take notes on both my printed out case and just my notebook. And then after that, I go and retype my handwritten notes that I took in class, and I just add in the handwritten notes that I took on the piece of paper that has the case on it, and then I put it all into one outline. It's a lot of typing, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of repetition, but that's a good thing, so stick with that. And that works for me. that works for me. Okay, I've tried to do flashcards. They don't really work for me yet. Anyway, I've met a ton of people who say, oh yeah, I tried flashcards, they didn't work, or I tried flashcards and I've never tried them before and they worked amazingly for me. You need to try, you need to experiment. But the main thing is that you need to kind of understand what you're up against, and then understand what will work best for you, and then stick to that until you're realizing it doesn't work. This was definitely not my original plan for studying. But now I realize that it kind of does work. And even that doesn't really work the best for me. I like talking. I don't know if you guys notice this, but I like talking and I like explaining things. That's kind of how I work, is that I like explaining these concepts to other people and talking about them rather than looking at a book, not having any interaction with anyone. That's just kind of my thing. So just find that. That's what you got to do. So that's my second point for advice. My number 3 point for advice is relax. Okay? And I mean that in 2 ways. The first one is I don't want to scare you, and I don't want any other lawyer, any other student, anyone to scare you. This is a hard thing. This is something that it's not easy, all right? It's hard, tough work, and you can do it. Tons of people have done it. You can do it. Okay? So that's the first thing I want you to relax about. The second thing I want you to relax about is in the literal sense. Okay? I want you to take some time to clear your head and get ready for the disciplined life that you're going to live soon. I want you to unplug. I want you to start slowing down your brain. And by unplug, I mean, literally take a day away from your cell phone. Take a day away from your computer. This is a slow-moving profession and a slow thought-moving process. So you're going to want to be able to look at a case and be focused on it for a long time. If you're constantly answering your phone, then your brain is going to be wired to jump from one thing to another, and you're not going to want to do that. So start training your brain to fight against that. And here's a next note I have is that do what you want to do, but do it in a disciplined manner. And what I mean by that is start getting used to now saying no to people. Okay? This is going to be the reality for the next basically 3 years of your life. Is you're going to want to do things and you're not going to be able to do them because you're going to have to say, sorry guys, I can't, I have to study, I have to do this, I have to do that, whatever. But you're going to have to say no. That's something hard to do. I have a hard time saying no to hang out with my friends or hang out with my brothers. I mean, that's a tough thing to do. So I would highly suggest you start getting used to that now, because it's a good habit to form, and you're going to need it. So I would suggest you start doing that. Another thing. So I know that I talked about this book right here in one of my old episodes, but it essentially just talks one more time about the fantastic, I don't know, kind of like the job of what a lawyer is actually going to do. Okay, this is about a disaster that happened in the 70s, and it was a really tragic disaster, but then it goes through really, really well and talks about actually what a lawyer will be doing in a case. Just, again, more information. It's good to remind yourself exactly what you're doing, and this kind of goes into my last point about relaxing, and that is you're going to want to revisit your passion. This is going to be a lot of work, hard work. It really is. I can guarantee you that. Then no one will ever say, yeah, law school was easy, or no one will ever say that law school wasn't hard work, okay, because it is. But revisit your passion, okay? This job is not for everyone. It's not. People love talking about, the First Amendment, and people love talking about, sticking it to corporations and, sticking it to the man, all that stuff, and standing up for the little guy, and, that's all great. That's fantastic. But then when you get down to it, no one wants to talk about, the motion was the motion for a new trial was granted under Rule 49 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. That's you're going to lose everyone. You're going to lose, no one wants to get into that deeper examination of something. They just want to do, an inch deep and something that they want. And then once it starts getting technical and hard, that's when most people get out of there. You're not doing that. Okay? You are dedicated to this. You are passionate about it. And it's nice to revisit that passion sometimes. It's nice to be able to talk to people and say, why do you want to be a lawyer? What did this case mean to you? What made you angry? What made you sad? It's good to revisit that passion. And, all the time I'm sitting in class and there's a concept that's hard to understand. And I say, what am I doing? What am I doing? Is this a good idea? Should I even be a lawyer? Everyone is going to deal with that. All right. That's just going to happen. Everyone deals with that every single day. I love this little thing. I can't quite remember where it's from, but it's like that old Where Suns. I don't know if anyone knows, but there's this old song. Look it up on YouTube. There's this old song that essentially is fashioned after someone who's giving a graduation speech, and one of the lines in it is the guy says, don't be afraid if you don't know what you want to do in your life right now. And this is college graduation. Don't be scared if you don't know what you want to do in your life. Some of the most amazing people I knew when I was growing up didn't know what they want to do in their life. And some of the most interesting people I know still don't. No one knows what they want to do in life. No one knows where they're going. No one knows all this stuff. But they do know what they're passionate about. And so it's good to revisit that and to remind yourself constantly, this is why I'm doing this. I believe in voting rights. I believe in politics. I believe in, helping people. And there's a system to help people. And when you're empowered to help people through this amazing system, you can do anything. And you can have such an amazing sense of pride that you went through all this work just to help people. Most people don't go through law school to say, I'm going to spend 3 years of my life and $200,000 to make a bunch of money. A lot of times that's really not the point. A lot of people want to do good, and I want to do good. I think you want to do good. So revisit that passion, because that will get you through anything. Okay? And that's it. Those are my things, all right? The life prep, the prep for the work, and then the relaxation. Relaxation is so important, and you can do this. And everything's going to be great, okay? And then I believe next week we're going to be talking about first week of law school. And then we're going to get into the day-to-day, and we're going to get into quick thoughts about certain concepts and all that stuff. So, all right. I'll see you guys next week.